Hello guys, it's me again and I am back once more. Today I want to do something that a lot of you have requested, and I'm going to do a tutorial on how to draw hands, because I know that loads of artists struggle with this, so you don't have to worry that you're the only one and you just can't seem to get it right. It's completely normal. I struggle with them myself. But one tip that I have to recommend is you can always use references, which really help to build up the proportion of the hands. But here today we're gonna do two hands sort of colliding, kind of like this, as in, you know, two people coming together and saying it's a more romantic kind of thing. Well, holding hands is romantic, but you know what I mean. So as you can see here, I've done a little grid to make this simpler. I've done a little square, just an equal square with two lines going through the middle, creating 4 different sections. And then we're going to just go and create a line straight to the bottom and part this square in half. I've done it really lightly so that I can rub it off later. Okay. Right, so after you've done this, this will help us to know where everything's going, and because with hands it tends to be a little difficult. Okay, and we just start drawing basically. Let me just switch my pencil. Okay, right. We're going to start off with her hand, or his hand, whichever one it is. The one coming from our left over here. Let me just move this a little higher. So we're first going to draw the wrist on the bottom. We're going to start with the bottom. I'm going to zoom in a bit. We're going to start with the bottom left hand square right here. It's more like a rectangle, but yeah. Okay, so you have to remember that in the middle is where the two hands sort of come. So the guy's hand, I'm going to name this the guy's hand, and the girl's hand will be on either side, and in the middle will be where they touch. So let's start by drawing the wrist, which will be in sort of towards the middle, sort of quarter way to the left from the middle line. And here we're just going to sort of do a little line going downwards, and then we're going to go straight down. Wait, let me think. But that's the thing, it's quite difficult with these things, because you have to make sure that you get it perfectly right, otherwise it will look, you know, hands can go so incredibly wrong, it's crazy. Right, so we just draw this line going towards, diagonally to the left, and just keep on drawing. This will create sort of the wrist and the arm later on, but I don't know if that will matter here. And we do the same for the other bit, and create the bottom of the palm just here. And make sure you don't make it too thick, because, you know, this is the girl's hand, I presume, and I don't want it to be really thick like the guy's hand, you know. Right, so we've done that. So that's the wrist, basically. You may think, what on earth is that? But you'll understand later. And another thing, just make sure that these two lines here sort of come to almost a corner where they interlock. And then you can even create like a little line there. Sort of like a fold, you know, when you draw clothes and their folds, that kind of thing, because this is where the hand folds, as you can see there. That's what I'm doing, and you can see these creases, but we're not going to create such long ones. And basically that's what's happening right now. And let me just make this a little more slanted. Okay, so now that we've done the wrist, pretty simple, right? Okay, we're just going to do the guy's wrist as well, because for these things, it's especially for hands and things you struggle with, it's good to do one thing at a time. And if you've gotten something right, then do the other thing that is similar to it before you sort of go into the mode where you just keep getting everything wrong. And, you know, take your time and be patient, and, you know, if it looks wrong at first, that's fine, you know, you can always try again, and it's completely normal to get things wrong. Oh, okay, so here is his palm and his wrist as well, and it's coming down also. And you can keep this corner here as little sort of guideline to tell you that it's supposed to be sort of roughly towards the middle of the wrist, just more to the left kind of thing. And you can do that there. And seeing as it's a guy's arm, I'm going to make it just slightly thicker, because they're a bit more masculine, aren't they? There. And then this is where his hand creases as well a little bit. And then we go up. But I don't want to go into that square just yet. So, as you can see, oh, sorry, I dropped my pencil. As you can see, this line is our guideline to where the two hands touch. So that's why this middle center line is really, really significant. You may be wondering, why did I draw these two then? Because, as I said before, it's good to take one thing at a time. And creating these different squares allows your mind to just think, okay, let me do this square, then that one, then that one. And that way your drawing is much more sort of focused on, and you don't draw the whole thing and then have to erase it because it looks so wrong, because you're focusing on too many things at a time, at the same time, sorry. Okay, so now that we've done the wrists sort of coming up, now we're going to do their sort of the back of their hands, just this bit here. So now we're going to focus on the middle little square thing that we have here. And basically, this is the easiest part, really. You just draw a line, just shooting upwards, basically. But I wouldn't recommend finishing it all the way on the other square. Maybe just leave a little tiny centimeter. Let me make sure you can see that. Maybe just leave a little bit of, like an inch, just there. And we'll figure that out later. And then we do the same for the guy. And you can do this bit a little more slanted and then coming. This can be as straight as you like, because if you're looking at your own hand even, it's actually quite straight. And here you can mix it up a little bit by adding a bit of a sort of bulk thing to sort of indicate the knuckles, and that really helps to show that the hand is bending. As you can see, the knuckles coming out. Right, and keep using my own hands for reference on. Right, so now onto his, and you just basically draw this line going along the middle center, the center line, and you slowly move towards the left of it, just slowly as you go up, until you sort of reach this point where it's not really touching it anymore. So you can see like a little curved line kind of thing. And then we sort of do the same for the guy, except seeing as they're touching, you just make this line a little thicker instead to show that there's two things there. And as this one goes to the left, this one will go towards the right, and it won't be quite as curved. It will just be sort of like a little stretched out triangle kind of thing without its base. So as you come up with this line here, we sort of leave it there for now. Well, we'll see if it needs to be a bit longer later on. And we start creating the muscle of the pinky. We start creating the knuckle of the pinky, sorry. And just like we did there, we create this little bulk, this sort of, you know how a muscle, why do I keep saying muscle? How a knuckle is, right? Just sort of a little bit of a curve kind of thing. And as you can see, this line goes straight down, and when it comes up here, it just moves to the right a little bit, like a little curve. And then, as we created the knuckle there, we draw another sort of straight line. You can even make it go inward a little bit. And just before you reach that center line, we create the other knuckle. We do this pinky here, coming to an end, and just ending just about where his knuckles are. Sort of, his knuckles are coming up, and your pinky, well, her pinky, is just ending about there. and then you can make it as sharp, you know, because girls tend to have nails in anime, and you can make it as sharp as you like, but I'm just going to leave it as a normal kind of hand. And you could just create this little bulk thing here to create this part of the pinky here. And then you come back out again, and you just unite it there, just sort of where the center line is, just stop it just after it. And then we go back down, and we create that inner bit. Let me just finish his hand, his palm, and as this came on, you can make it longer, and this will all be shaded in. So I'm just going to draw some lines there to remind me. So you can see already, there's sort of, it looks a bit funny, but no worries, we're not finished quite yet. Okay, now we've done her pinky. The next finger that's coming along is his pinky, I think it is. Yeah, it should be his pinky. Right, so we create the other knuckle coming up here. Not too big, just a little thing. And then you just go down, and then go past the middle center, and imagine like a diagonal line going around there, and just create his knuckle sort of at that diagonal line of hers, so it's not quite completely parallel to it. Right, and then we go down.
See, I can't wake up, I'm living a nightmare that keeps playing.
Something wrong, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated, and you just rip the paper to bits and throw it in the bin. But that's not really what an artist is supposed to do. Whenever you get something wrong, remember that there's always a way to fix it. So don't just give up and start again, because that's only going to be more hard work for you. Plus, helping yourself, fixing a drawing that you may have thought you got wrong is the way you're improving, because that way you'll always notice the mistakes you'll make. But if you constantly start again, then it will be harder for you. I'm gonna shade it in and add whatever details I have and delete those guidelines, and I'll be back to say some final words.
Locked in a room, so hung up on you, and you're cool, just being friends. Left on the
Okay, so there's the finished product. I just wanted to say, I have a few last minute tips. First of all, I don't know if you saw me doing it in that sort of fast forwarded video, but what I tend to do, a little bit of a sort of trick that helps, is smudging. Smudging your pencil in order to create a really fine shadow. For example, down here, I couldn't have created the sort of shadow I did there, because it wouldn't make sense. You know, you don't really see that kind of darkness on this hand unless there's some type of, I don't know, really dark shadow covering the light. So basically what you do is sort of turn your pencil and draw back from it right at the bottom, and just draw sort of with the side of your pencil, not the tip, and just do this sort of fainty kind of colouring in. And then using your finger or a tissue or whatever you may have, just smudge it basically. I like to sort of go around in circles to make sure that I have everything. And smudge it out, and there you have it. And, you know, it creates that sort of fainty kind of shadow. And then you can use your rubber to just rub off the things that may have been smudged, because, you know, the pencil can get a bit messy at times. You know, but you can use a rubber to sort of erase wherever the highlights are supposed to be and wherever you weren't supposed to smudge but have done. Right, so thank you so much for all your support. I will see you guys in the next video.